I didn't attach to my family as she was to hers, but I wanted to have it equal. So, okay, for Christmas, we're going to drive from Wisconsin to Ohio, spend 3 days, drive another 600 miles, go to Tennessee, and then back to Wisconsin. And every summer, the same route, maybe reversed. And basically, as our Andrew can tell you, that's basically what we did for the next 20 years. And we had a kind of a routine. We visited all the relatives, and I think I was a better brother to my brother and sister who are here as a result of Joe's sort of insisting that family be central to our lives. All of our relatives would visit Wisconsin as well. Joe's family would usually come with her mother, and she would always bring 2 or 3 other relatives with her. My parents had a more of an economically challenging kind of environment, and they would be able to afford to come in a great while. But I remember it was my mother's birthday and Mother's Day were coming up. I should back up for a moment to tell you that Joe's birthday is May the 8th, very close to Mother's Day. My mother's birthday was May 11th, very close to Mother's Day. So I was out shopping for birthday, Mother's Day, my wife, my mother, and Joe would say, oh, I have my mother too. Would you go and get her a card and a gift as well? So I think I was a kind of heavy-duty time, so I thought, well, by the way, would it be nice to invite my mother to come to Wisconsin and send her a plane ticket? Now, Joe didn't say, well, I'm making all the money, that would be my money. She said that would be a great idea. And I said, well, my father would like to come too. Fine. Well, I have 2 sisters as well. So we sent 4 plane tickets. In those days, plane tickets really cost real money. And the fact that this was Joe's money, not my money, was just kind of normal. So here we are in the front doors of my parents and Marcia and my other sister and baby Andrew on the porch there. And so money was kind of irrelevant, but this was keeping in touch with family, which was a really important part of what I was learning. I want to turn to talk a little bit about Joe's work. This is a newspaper story I know which you can't read, but some of you have read on my website about Joe's work in Malaysia. I'm going to repeat a little bit of this. There was something in Malaysia called the Malaysian Junior Science College, and these were an educational experiment to try to get the rural Malay or lower-income youth to be college ready, particularly in math and science careers. And they wanted to create them as residential kind of communities. And so I'm just going to read to you this little excerpt from the story that was sent to Joe, and just describing the school here that I've just highlighted here. You probably can't read it, but I'll just read a paragraph. So, life in the college is different from anything the boys had ever known. It's a boys' school. School hours are from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, but formal classroom work is reduced to a minimum. The college follows the syllabus, but the methods are extraordinarily different. Students are left free to work on their own in the library, to hold group discussions, to work with teachers. During the classroom periods, the emphasis on practical work done in small groups, with the teacher going around giving explanations and just as needed. The children are encouraged to be inquisitive and independent, to discover facts by themselves. For anybody who's aware of most of the educational environment outside of the United States, this is kind of breaking every single rule. I mean, this is a top-down educational system following a national syllabus. The teacher speaks, the students recite, and they're tested over this kind of material. So this is in 1972 that this article comes out of the newspaper, and somebody clips it from the newspaper and sends it to Joe and says, you might be interested to know what you have done. So to back up a moment, the year before, a friend of mine, his name was Wakalawi, he was the director of training in a governmental organization called MARA, and he wanted to start these colleges, and he knew that Joe was in the country. Waha was my friend, and he asked Joe, would she come and work as an educational consultant for his pet proposal, which was to create the curriculum for these MARA junior science colleges. And so over the course of about 8 months, Joe was working half-time. I think Ruthie, who's here in the room, was living with us at the time, and we would drop her off at the bus stop, and she would go down there. And so she basically wrote the curriculum with focus on that, but much of it's about a 200 or 300 page report she wrote. It's on my website. It's all the entire report. It's all completely anonymous, whatever they wrote. But this philosophy of students being independent, encouraging creativity, teachers have to be highly motivated. They have to be available in off hours. Was all there in the opening chapters, which Joe wrote. It was also consistent with what she wrote in her math textbook that wasn't published, but again, it was sort of encouraging all the students to be independent self-learners based upon discovery, learning all of these ideas. Now, I think Marina told me she actually went to one of these colleges, and maybe some other relations in the audience went to these colleges. They're all over Malaysia. There's hundreds of them right now. And I think if you ask anybody in Malaysia how these came about, the government did. Actually, Joe played a major role in designing not only the math curriculum, but the philosophy underpinning them. And to my knowledge, Joe has never mentioned this to anyone. She has a letter from a man that some of you will know. His name is Ghaffar Wali. He later becomes the Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia. And I included that in the website about Joe's thing, his entire letter. And he congratulates Joe and says, you know, you have written the materials that's going to create these new programs and it's going to help change the country. Thank you and your husband very much. I didn't even know him. But anyhow, so some people recognize me. The person who sent this clipping to us was Joe's principal of the college that she had taught in for several years. But those were two people that knew. Well, how about we knew? I sort of knew, but I was busy with my own activities. But anyhow, all these things I discovered in the files. Okay, this is another story for those, I think Dick Campbell and some others may be familiar with Durham, North Carolina. And I mentioned that Joe helped to organize school health rooms at East End School. This was a school in the city, and this happened to be the school that Andrew was going to in first grade, and she was a volunteer in the school. And one of the things that she noticed in the schools is that when a child fell ill or was injured, they were sent to the office. And the secretary had to sit them in a chair and just let them sit there, maybe give them an aspirin, or if it was really serious trauma, the principal would have to take time out to do it. And then so Joe went to the principal, who she knew at the time, and says, you know, we can have organized school health rooms. How would you do that? Well, I take volunteers. What volunteers? And Joe says, well, I'm volunteering. I know a lot of other people, parents who have volunteered too. Will they be qualified? Well, I can call the Red Cross and have all these people trained to be able to do it. And he said, okay. So Joe calls the Red Cross, recruits all the volunteers. They get training in the newspaper. I don't know how they found out about it. I forgot about it. So this is a lead on the second section, some section B of the newspaper. At East End, help's available when emergency arises. And it's basically about this program. So Joe is not mentioned in the first 3 or 4 paragraphs, but you can see from the pictures something really important. This is a southern, highly segregated city. This school happens to be integrated, about 80% black, right, Andrew? You were first through third grade there. But they have black and white parents and students in all the pictures. Because here, the parents are getting trained and they're practicing putting splints on each other, they're treating the child, and so on. So they did, and so the Red Cross said, well, this is a good program. The state of North Carolina is not going to pay for nurses in school. We'll apply this to the entire city and encourage all the other schools, and they appointed Joe to organize all this for the city of Durham, the Red Cross. I don't think it all happened, I'd rather go watch, but that's what they asked him to do. Well, what's really interesting is what the newspaper story was going to write. So I just blew it up. You can't read it, and I'm just going to read a paragraph or so here about the philosophy. And so Joe, at this point, they get into what Mrs. Hirschman is doing here, who is the program organizer, and she's telling all the arguments for why this program is a good thing. First of all, the parents have health skills that they can help to provide first aid at home. You know, a lot of these parents are going to receive Red Cross training to be able to do things. A lot of the children are going to get the prestige of having their mother working at the school. That's a pretty important activity as well. And so she's describing what actually they do. Well, they apply a lot of advantages, they apply these things, but they mostly apply tender, loving care. And there's a quote here, that's one of the most important functions, Mrs. Hirschman says. That's the way they address the people. Many of the children who come with complaints are just actually in need of sympathetic attention. And the children need us just as much as the ones with the actual health programs. And she goes on to tell a story about this kid who comes in there and his arm is broken. And so Joe gets some water, rubs some water on his thing and rubs it in for a long time and consoles him. He says, okay, my arm's fine now. And he goes back to classes. Well, this is kind of modern, but that's what she was doing there. And she has another thing here at the end. She's talking about another benefit here. It's going to get very personal here in a second. But you have to know that Joe never missed a day of school in her life. And I really never missed a day of school in our life. So growing up in our household was not easy. So Joe says, for her there's an added benefit. Well, my own son complains that he is ill, and I'm pretty sure he's malingering. I can send him off to school knowing if he's really ill, he'll be taken care of. And I'm upset. Anyhow, I discovered this last week. I missed it before, but anyhow, it's kind of interesting. So Joe goes on to do lots of things with the Durham City Schools and lots of other activities. We moved to Ithaca. She's a full-time teacher in the high school, teaching science, math, typing, lots of other kinds of things. And then we wind up in Seattle. Who's doing all of this? Moving her, uprooting her from all these things. I'm guilty. Okay, so we get to Seattle, but we have friends here, even Chris guest who are visiting, particularly Chris. So Chris knows Joe from Wisconsin, and says, Joe, you probably need some things to do, so she arranges for Joe to do supervision of student teachers at Seattle University. And Joe hangs around for a while, and she discovers there's a program called Even Start. Even Start is a complement to Head Start, except Even Start works with the parents of Head Start students, and they have programs all over the state, and they need people to evaluate all of these programs to report back to the sponsors. And so within a few months, Joe was traveling all around, flying all around Washington State, evaluating Even Start programs and writing reports on how they're doing. And this contract goes on for another year or two, and I think maybe at Seattle University, she notices on the bulletin board, there's a course in teaching English as a second language, and she always wanted to do that too. So, if you climb one mountain, let's climb another mountain. That's a different mountain. So she takes the class in ESL and passes through it. And then the teachers ask her, would you like to teach in our program too? I wonder why they asked her to do that. And for the next 25 years, she is teaching in the teaching training at the ESL program out of Seattle University. It later moves to Seattle Pacific University, and later it actually closes down because they don't need the program, or there's some other reasons. And so during this time, Joe taught intensive programs initially in the classroom, later online for all these years. And we're in the process of cleaning out our house. And there are boxes and boxes and boxes, and most of them are my junk. But a lot of them are Joe's junk as well. So it includes every paper that every student has ever written, all of the syllabi, all the materials for every class. And we're throwing out some of these things. People probably forgot they wrote these papers. But I'm keeping stuff like this. These are probably one of 100 cards that Joe got, and you can't read them all. But they begin at the top. Dear Joe, you are such a great teacher. We learned so much. Thank you for your patience and good humor. Thank you for your enriching educational experience. You are a pleasant professional man. It just goes on and on. And she just has dozens and dozens of these. People continue to write to her, sometimes for letters of recommendation, all over the place. Okay, so that is her professional career, of which she never talks about at all. But we should talk about plants. You might remember a moment ago, this is a rental house. So we're just living in it. All the flowers along the wall, flowers all the way around the back. You can't see in the back, tomatoes are growing. And so Joe is working full-time, going to school, doing other things, but she's out there every weekend digging in the dirt, planting flowers at the rental house to improve the quality of the neighborhood. And so we basically live with plants. We don't have pets, but we do have children and plants all over the place. And Joe's attitude towards plants is basically give them dirt, give them water, see what they do. In other words, there's not a lot of detailed attention to these plants, but they seem to thrive. So we have, I think Joe got a 498 or 298 rose bush from Kmart. Okay, so she basically stuck them around. We now have rose bushes all around the house, like Jen has one going in front of her house, and she just cuts them off. Jen asks what to do, just take it in the dirt and you water them. And there are plants all over the place. This plant is in our bedroom. I think sometimes it's in our bed. It grows 20, 30 feet, branches all over the place. It's called something called a night blooming cirrus. And very rarely, it has blossoms that bloom from about 10 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it withers. And for about 30 years, it just keeps growing and growing, and nothing is happening at all, except I'm I'm sitting at the desk and something is on my head. It's one of the branches of this plant. And about 5 years ago, this plant just starts blooming like crazy. So this particular night, Jo gets 2. A week later, she gets another one. 2 more days, she's getting 2 or 3 per night. And this plant's just kind of going wild. And people ask her when she shows the plant and gives clippings to people, what do you do? She says, I water it. Okay, so there's something magical going on there. So what else do we say? I guess I'm at a stage of life now reflecting upon what's important. I'm retired after 45 years of teaching and doing this and doing that and so on. And I look at all the things that I thought were important. I can't remember most of them. I mean, I have these papers, I have these files, I've got other kinds of things. But this, I remember. This is, I'm not saying Jo and I did this, but anyhow, it's kind of happened, and it's something central to our life at the present time. Finally, okay, so let me go back to my final point here. And I wish Heather Schwartz were here so she could get the story straight. And there's sort of a, I don't know whether it's real social science or pseudo-social science. It's a story they tell about romantic relationships. And it's the stages, you've heard all this because it's used in popular culture. There's sort of the stages of a romantic relationship. So the first stage is infatuation. You just dream about the other, how wonderful they are, their jokes are so funny, everything is just perfect, and you just kind of, you just can't imagine being away from them. And then there's kind of the second stage, kind of realism breaks in, and you realize all those things that you thought didn't really matter really bug you. And you kind of go through that, and this might be years or whatever, and is it worth it? What about these things? Can I change this person? And all of that. And of course, then there's the third and ultimate stage of, realistic love. Where, okay, I'm comfortable, things are working out, not perfect, but this is, all things considered, this is kind of a pretty good relationship and worth, continuing. I just have to tell you, I'm stuck at number 1. I'm still in the infatuation stage. Yeah, sure. I'm finished. I'm sorry. Please feel free to give dessert. Charlie, can you help me close this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, your job.
I'm very honored to be here. I'm a former graduate student of Charlie and University of Washington. The story I'm talking now is about Charlie and Jo. But before starting my presentation, I just want to thank all the professor in the University of Washington that I remember, and all the supporting staff. I can name here many things. I met here Pete Guest, Bob Lodnix, Andrea Raftery, Professor Packer Stewart, Professor Paul Bernstein, and many other people. And also, if maybe Charlie, you remember Julie, Nancy, Seka, and many other, Susan, Hanson, who support us during the time we stayed here. But today I just want to talk more about Charlie and Jo. And my talk, actually I want to tell you the story. I know that in his career, Charlie has many different interesting stories. But today I want to share with you the story about Vietnam, Charlie and Vietnam. And the name is Charlie and Vietnam. You don't see the Joe name here because I've been talking about there are three messages I want to convey in my speech. One is Charlie and education and training he supports Vietnamese students and Vietnam in general. And the two is Charlie and Joe appreciate the culture of Vietnam. They care about our culture, care about our country. And the last one is that they care about us, his students, as a family member. Only three messages. And because the first message, only relates to Charlie. That's why, we put the term Charlie in Vietnam. But actually, every Charlie has been doing, in our story, there's always, Joe next, side by side, next to him. So let me tell you the story about Charlie in Vietnam. So Charlie came to Vietnam in, if I remember correctly, then you came to Vietnam in a very difficult period of time in Vietnam. It was in 1989 and 1990, and at that time, to say briefly, I did not have enough food to eat, not alone people from far away. So Charlie came to our country in an extremely difficult time of our country. And they come and Joe and Charlie came and they extend, the hand to support us, to provide us with education, with training, with many, wonderful things. That is very important for Vietnam development at that time, in early time of our country development. If today you go to Vietnam, you will see the very kind of booming country, very fast developing country. But you cannot imagine that just 30 years ago we did not have enough food, even in the Hanoi. I was born in Hanoi and I did not have enough food. Charlie, in his presentation and in the slideshow before, there is one picture showing a woman wearing a dress, and he said, "Loi, you wear this dress." Actually, I worked as a tailor for 10 years for survival in Hanoi. To tell you, that so they come to Vietnam in a so difficult time in our country. And they come not for fun, not to see, how we were suffering, but to come to help us, to provide opportunity for us, to provide training for us. And he came when sociology was in infancy in Vietnam. The Institute of Sociology was established in 1983. And by the time when Charlie came, we were studying what it means. And he teach us what sociology means. He teaches us how to do sociological survey. He went to survey with us. He provided a lot of training, and there's a lot of participants of the workshop training that Charlie delivered in Hanoi long time ago in 1995 or something. And he went to the countryside, playing with the children, shared the sympathies with our people, with our country. Besides providing the training for the sociology in Vietnam in general, he also provides us with a lot of equipment. In the picture, you see the portable computer. This became the first computer in the Institute of Sociology. At that time, we did not know what computer means. When I punched the keyboard, I always fear that if smoke comes out, then I will be dead. So. And not only for his support for the Institute of Sociology, he also support for villages. This is the 3-set of computer and printer he support for the villages. We went to do survey, in the countryside in Vietnam. And he also bring a lot of international scholars and researchers. He connect us with the world at large. He bring many fine scholars from outside to Vietnam to teach us how to do sociology. And he organized a lot of workshops in Vietnam, helping us to growing up intellectually, in sociology. And this is a few pictures, about the workshop in Da Nang in 1998. Particularly, he helped us, and he was the key person to organize the two very important surveys in Vietnam. One is the Vietnam Life History Survey in 1991, in which, 2008 that we published papers about the Vietnam casualty during the American War, a new estimates. And when I worked on this paper, Charlie told me, Loi, you need to be careful. The number you are working on, they are the real people. Those who die, they are real people dying during the wartime. So you need to be very careful. You need to treat it with respect. And then another survey, Charlie helped us to do is the Vietnam longitudinal survey, which lasts for 5 years, from 1995 to 1998, 4 years. In a row, in a 10 number in the River Delta. And you see a few pictures of the field works in the survey. Back then in Vietnam, we were very poor. Transportation was very difficult. And we have to have a lot of boxes. And this is the team. And we get stuck in the middle of the road. And then the whole team have to push the car to ignite, the engine again. If today you go to Vietnam, you cannot imagine how we were living 30 years ago. And in this difficult time, Charlie and Joe came to us and helped us a lot. But most important thing is that he create opportunity for, can you imagine, 7 of us to come here to study. I think that in my life, I think that Charlie is the only professor that I know have so many graduate students from Vietnam in sociology. You are the best person that, provide so many Vietnamese graduate students, in and here are the list of all of us, and 5 of us are here today. I'm very happy we cannot come here alone. Charlie is mentor of 7 of us, but 5 are present today. And I want to tell you, all of us later on become a big fish in sociology in Vietnam. Thanks to you, thanks to Professor like Pitkas, like Bob Lodis, like Bill Leslie, like many other people, and like college friends like Sarah Goran, and Brian, and Mark Van Lanigan. They all support us in one way or another. And I'm showing here, our achievement in the University of Washington, not to boost myself, but to tell him that all his labor, his effort, was not a waste. We try to follow him, his example. We work hard, and I think that we achieve what we try for. And it's thanks for Charlie, thanks for many professors who are present here and who are not present here today. And over here, I just present. Here you can see Dr. Minh Thanh is postdoc here, and then he now becomes an international consultant working for many famous international organizations in the whole world. And Dr. Wayne, was the director of the Institute of Family Study and Gender. And currently, Dr. Wayne is chair of the Vietnam Sociological Association. And Lê Thành Sa is the director of the Southern Institute for Social Sciences. If you go to the South, you don't forget to call him. He is not only a director, but he also a very nice person. And also another one is 2 graduate students who cannot go today. But I'm talking on behalf of them. Want to thank Charlie, want to thank University of Washington very much for making us, a big personality today. Without you, without Charlie, without Joe, without you, we cannot become people that we are today. And next, themes I want to talk about Charlie and Joe. They not only teach us sociology, not only teach us how to do field works, they also pay great attention to our culture, to our history. They learn Vietnamese. Both Charlie and Joe, they learn Vietnamese. And they travel extensively in Vietnam. They visited many historical sites in Vietnam, and they always, they share with us a lot of things that we rarely have opportunity to share with outsiders. This is she is now working in Singapore. She's graduated in University of Washington as master degree and go to PhD in Sydney in Australia. And she is working now in Singapore. So all of the Chinese students today, I can tell you that we are doing well, with your education. So I just want to say that what you try to help us, what you try to care about us, this is not a waste of the time. We try hard, to not to betray, your people. And in addition to that, in this picture, Charlie is a photographer, and his father on the other side, he brings the whole family to Vietnam. Not only Charlie and Joe, care about us, but they also bring a lot of people, the whole family to Vietnam and go to historical site. This is in Phu Lý, picture in Phu Lý. You can see the relics of a church. This is the only structure remained after the bombing during the wartime in Phu Lý. And they went to temple Vietnam. In Vietnam, people in Vietnam, we follow, majority of people follow Buddhism. And we have plenty of temples and pagoda. We have also Christian people, we have Muslim people also. But the largest, number of people following Buddhism. And this is the in sanctuary of Champa Kingdom in the central Vietnam. They stayed. So Charlie and Joe, they study history of Vietnam. They study Vietnamese language. They go to many places. They go to Dien Bien Phu, the battle that we defeated French in the 1954. So Charlie faithfully, I have a lot of pictures of them. And then also they go to Bacham village. You will never see this picture again because now they use a modern Glynn to make pottery. On the background you see a lot of coal. They put on the wall to dry it. And not only that, they also, Charlie and Joe bring something from Vietnam home. If you don't love the country, you don't bring anything from this country home at all. They bring big things home, it's very happy. And for that, and besides, you are a lot more than teacher for us. You are, our father, mother, our brother, sister, our family member. And you treat us as a family. When I told Charlie that I just married, I just registered in the Washington DC. Charlie and Joe said that you are unmarried until I organize a wedding for you. And they did it. We have a wedding party in Charlie and Joe house. And here are a few pictures of Charlie spent with the family of each graduate students. And I cannot put it here on the student, but actually Joe and Charlie arrange for children, for bringing children to go to school, for Thắng and Hương children to go to school. They care of us when we get sick. They care of us when in the festival, in holiday, in New Year time. They affect that we are lonely. They come and took us to their home. We have a big family party in a very important day. That's, was very important. And for us, for me, to survive in Seattle for 7 years, Thank you very much. I think that without you care, probably I could have kept crazy. And for that, all of us, I'm presenting on behalf of the Vietnamese team. And now I request that all Vietnamese students of Charlie come to the post and all the spouse present here. Let's come here. I need you here. We all join the hand to say thank you very much for Joe and Charlie. Come here. And this is the first and the only presentation that I have been made. That I have only one hand out. Charlie said to me before we came here that no gift, please. I respect this principle, but this is not gift. This is hand out of my presentation. So I asked Charlie and Joe to come here so that we can deliver you my handout of my presentation. The handout presentation weighs almost 4 kilos.
4 kilos.
Charlie and Joe. This is the presentation. You will open it and show to people. I am saying that this is a handout, and it's really a handout. Yeah, Joe, I will give for you. Open it. So the box weighs, 900 grams. And the handout weighs 2.7 kilos.
My goodness.
Take it out.
Wow.
Take it out. This is the handout. The handout.
Well, the handout from there now.
This is the handout. Only one handout. Only one handout.
Come on, I'm cheap.
Only one handout. Yeah? This is really handout. One handout.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then can we have the picture? Yes. So let's take a. Yeah, I asked somebody to take a picture for us. Oh, yeah, thank you. Joe and Charlie, can you stand in the middle, and then we want to take a picture with the whole, we are 5 here, but actually we are 7. 2 cannot come because of business. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.